Decoding the female psychological interface. The strongest men aren't born. They're forged in the years when they couldn't get a girl's attention. Your brain treats female approval as a biological win condition. This isn't romance. It's neurology. Most men approach women backwards. They seek the woman first, hoping it will make them strong. The iron law is strength first, woman second. Reverse the order, and you get permanent weakness. A woman is not a goal. She's a psychological amplifier. She can either supercharge your progress or short-circuit your entire system. The choice is not hers, it's yours. There's a direct neural link between your mission and a woman's validation. Learning to control this link is the master key to unlimited energy and focus. A systems analysis of the most powerful external influence on the male's psyche. To navigate the realm of male-female dynamics with power and clarity, we must first perform a radical act of intellectual hygiene. We must temporarily strip away the cultural operating system of romance, social expectation, and moralistic narrative. We must see what remains when we look at the interaction not through the lens of poetry, but through the lens of biology, neuropsychology, and systems theory. From this clinical vantage point, a woman emerges not as a mythical creature, but as the most sophisticated external psychobiological interface a man will ever encounter. She is a system wired to send and receive specific signals that interact directly with the deepest, most archaic layers of the male operating system. To misunderstand her function is to risk a lifetime of running corrupted software on your own hardware. This analysis rests on a non-negotiable biological axiom, a dominant, driving force within the male psyche's motivational architecture, its reward circuits. Its subconscious striving is organized around the evolutionary imperative of reproductive success. The agent of reproduction is the female. Therefore, female perception, valuation, and response are not casual social feedback. They are a primary hardwired validation mechanism for the male animal. To ignore this is to ignore the gravitational pull of your own planet. You can try to defy it, but you will expend all your energy fighting a law of your nature. The pivotal insight, the one that changes everything, is that this powerful feedback mechanism is not inherently good or bad. It is a tool. Like electricity, it can illuminate your path or electrocute you. It can be wired into your life to create a virtuous cycle of exponential growth, or it can be miswired to create a death spiral of degradation. The outcome depends entirely on two things: the sequence of your development and the caliber of the interface you choose to connect with. The first law, the sacred sequence: strength before access. Access to female energy, granted before the foundational forging of male strength, is not a reward. It is a developmental trap that systematically prevents the emergence of true capability. The young male journey is defined by a critical, dangerous crossroad. The biological drive is intense. The easiest apparent path is to seek female validation as a substitute for, or a shortcut to, genuine self-development. The problem is a brutal game of matching algorithms. The women who are readily available to an unformed, low-status, unfocused, and needy young man are, with statistical inevitability, those who themselves operate from a place of profound lack, insecurity, and short-term resource extraction. Engaging with them creates what systems theorists call a negative reinforcing loop. His fragile ego needs validation. She provides it in exchange for attention, time, and emotional labor, resources he should be investing in building real-world competence. Her demands spend more time with me, not in the library. Why do you train so much? You're already fine. Your ambitions are intimidating. Pull him away from the forge. Each concession weakens him slightly, making him more dependent on her crumbs of validation, which in turn increases his willingness to concede further. This loop consolidates mediocrity, entrapping him in a comfortable, low-ceiling prison. Conversely, consider the man who experiences a mandatory developmental latency, period stretching, crucially, from adolescence into his early 20s. During these years, his drives are at their peak, but the reward of consistent, quality female attention is withheld. The psyche confronts a biological paradox. The reward is unavailable at my current level. A powerful subconscious compensation mechanism kicks in. The internal dialogue is not intellectual, but biological. If I cannot secure reproductive success through direct access, I will acquire it indirectly by amassing the resources, status, competence, and undeniable presence that would make me an irresistible option. This forced redirect of energy is perhaps the primary engine for building tangible, non-negotiable strength in the world. The frustration is sublimated into reps in the gym, into hours of skill acquisition, into the relentless focus required to build something of value. The ones who are given easy, early access often settle. Their biological imperative is satisfied with minimal effort. They become the naturally charming guys who plateau at 25, wondering why their charm no longer translates into real respect or achievement. Corollary: early scarcity of quality female attention, when properly metabolized without bitterness, is the universe's most effective developmental accelerator. Early, easy abundance is often a developmental sedative, ensuring you never wake up to your true potential. A woman communicates with a man primarily through a back channel to his subconscious limbic system. Bypassing his conscious critic, her authentic reactions, approval or disapproval, are not just opinions. They are direct levers controlling the floodgates of his neurochemical energy bank. This is the core of her utilitarian power and the source of her danger. Male conscious willpower is a finite resource, a muscular system that fatigues. You cannot simply order yourself, through logic alone, to feel sustained confidence, deep-seated power, or boundless energy. You can act as if, but the inner state may not follow. However, a woman's authentic, visceral reaction to your actions and results operates on a different, more powerful circuit. When she looks at you with genuine admiration, respect, and attraction for what you have built or overcome, her response injects a potent, synergistic cocktail of neurochemicals directly into your reward and identity centers. Dopamine, the goal-achieved signal, reinforcing the specific behavior that led to her reaction. Serotonin, the feeling of social well-being, status, and belonging. Endorphins, a natural euphoria, reducing the perceived pain of the effort. Testosterone, spikes in response to social dominance validation, fueling further assertiveness and drive. This creates a psychic imprint that no amount of positive self-talk can replicate. It forges a copper-bonded neural link between the action of striving and the chemical state of victory, validation, and sexual reward. She becomes a living, breathing, operant conditioning unit for your highest behaviors. Contrast the two neurological realities. The void. You work 80 hours to launch a project. You face down fears, overcome obstacles, and finally succeed. You come home to indifference, criticism about your absence, or a transactional interaction. The brain learns. Herculean effort leads to social, emotional, neutral, or negative outcome. Recalibrate. Consider reducing effort. The amplifier. The same effort, the same victory. You share the outcome with a woman whose opinion you respect. She looks at you, touches your arm, and says with palpable sincerity, "I am in awe of what you can do." Seeing you conquer things like that is incredible. In that moment, your brain is hijacked. It learns. Herculean effort leads to this profound state of connection, validation, and primal reward. This feeling is worth any price. Seek more challenges. The second scenario doesn't just feel good. It rewires you. It makes you addicted to your own growth. This is the ultimate utility a woman can provide, to become the physical embodiment of the reward for your strength, thus making you biologically compelled to become stronger. The third law, the dominance, benevolence, equilibrium. To reliably harness this positive amplification, you must establish and maintain a specific psychological environment. This is not a spoken contract, but an embodied equilibrium defined by two pillars: calm dominance and conscious benevolence. A woman's primal psychological circuitry seeks one overarching state: security. This security is not provided by servitude or agreement, but by a man's demonstrable, calm dominance, the perceived, non-verbal capacity to understand, navigate, and impose order on the chaotic world, providing protection. Fused with his benevolence, the conscious, chosen direction of his power to provide, nurture, and include, rather than to harm or exclude. Analyze the failed combinations. Dominance without benevolence. You are a capable but unpredictable force, a threat. Her psyche will respond with fear, resistance, manipulation, or sabotage to neutralize the perceived danger. Benevolence without dominance. You are a kind, safe, but ultimately resource-poor ally. A friend, not a protector. She may like you, but she cannot respect you or feel truly secure, as you lack the perceived capacity to defend the perimeter. Attraction evaporates. Dominance plus benevolence. This is the master key. You demonstrate the capacity to handle reality's pressure dominance, and you choose to channel that capacity for her benefit and shared growth, benevolence. This creates the only environment where her amplifier function engages in positive mode. You provide the ultimate security. In return, her deepest wiring compels her to reinforce and reward the very behaviors that generate that security. The archetype of the broken woman, or shattered interface, is one whose own internal programming is so corrupted that she actively punishes the dominance plus benevolence combination. She is attracted to the strength, initially the output, but is terrified. or repulsed by the discipline and focus required to generate the input. Her complaints are never about the logic. They are distress signals from her own broken circuitry. The example from the text is perfect. The woman attracted to the entrepreneur's results, who then demands he abandon the process that creates them, is a system error. A functional high-caliber amplifier would seek to support, enable, and derive security from that very process, knowing it is the source of everything she values. Protocols for strategic interface management and optimization. Protocol 1. The mandatory developmental moratorium. The action. This is a non-negotiable self-imposed embargo. You declare, with the seriousness of a surgeon sterilizing a field, that the active pursuit of romantic or sexual connection is categorically off the table for a defined period. This is not about misogyny or fear. It is the strategic insulation required to forge metal without contamination. The duration and exit criteria. This moratorium lasts until you can pass the following objective gates, not subjective feelings. Physical gate. Your body is strong, capable, and resilient. You look like you can handle physical hardship. Financial gate. You have achieved a baseline of economic autonomy. You are not dependent on anyone for survival. Competence gate. You have developed a marketable skill to a level of genuine proficiency, not dabbling. Psychological gate. You have cultivated emotional self-regulation. You are not reactive. Your mood is not a roller coaster dependent on external events. The core rationale. You are in this period a low-resolution signal. You will only attract and be attracted to other low-resolution noisy signals. Connecting them will create distortion, not music. The latent sexual and validation energy you possess is the most potent rocket fuel in the human experience. During the moratorium, you inject it directly into the engines of your own development. The governing mantra, I am not seeking a woman. I am building the man that the woman I would need. Protocol 2. The relentless amplifier audit. The action. Upon re-entering the social field, you subject every woman you interact with to a dispassionate, utilitarian diagnostic. You silence the inner voices of loneliness, lust, and social conditioning. You are a systems engineer evaluating a component. The critical diagnostic questions. Energy audit. After interacting with her, do I feel more energized, focused, and clear about my mission, or more drained, distracted, and chaotic? Reinforcement audit. When I share a legitimate victory or disciplined action, for example, I just closed that deal, I finished my manuscript. I hit a new PR in the gym. Does she respond with authentic admiration and curiosity? That's amazing. How did you do it? Or with indifference, competition, that's nice. But my day was, or sabotage, you're always so busy. Psychology audit. Is her underlying operating system one of abundance, curiosity, and growth, or of lack, drama, and extraction? Does she build, or does she consume? The iron rule. If the audit results trend negative, she is not a partner. She is a psychological load. She is an attenuator, draining power from your system. Disengage with the decisiveness of an electrician cutting a faulty wire. It is better to have a silent, powerful system than one filled with the constant, draining static of a bad connection. Protocol 3. Directing the signal and programming the loop. The action. Once a woman passes the amplifier audit and is identified as a potential positive interface, You must consciously and carefully integrate her into your system's feedback loop. This is not manipulation. It is the deliberate engineering of a symbiotic circuit. The integration method. Show, don't beg. Share evidence of your competence and discipline selectively after the fact. Let her witness the results, not the complaining about the process. Be a man who does things, then talks about them, not a man who talks about things he might do. Frame in context. When sharing, connect your actions to your deeper purpose or mission. I finally closed that big client. It means we can now fund the next phase of the project I've told you about. This frames your strength as purposeful, not just egotistical. Conscious absorption. In the moment of her positive, authentic reinforcements, the look, the touch, the words, you must pause. Do not just nod and move on. Feel the neurochemical wave hit you. Consciously anchor that sublime feeling to the specific action you took. This is the moment of programming. You are telling your subconscious. This feeling, this depth of connection and validation is the direct, chemical reward for that specific type of disciplined action. The engineered outcome. You create a self-sustaining, virtuous cycle. You execute disciplined action, she provides subconscious. Potent validation gives your brain deeply encodes action, with supreme reward gives you a biologically pulled toward more disciplined action, not just pushed by willpower. She becomes part of your internal governance system, elevating you. Critical warnings, system bugs, and failure modes. This is not a license for sociopathy. This framework is about selection and conscious interaction, not exploitation. The benevolence pillar is non-negotiable. Seeking to extract value without providing the security of dominance, plus benevolence, will attract only the most damaged and transactional partners, ensuring your own corruption. The broken toy phase is a necessary trial. As you develop, you will magnetically attract and be temporarily fascinated by broken toys. Their drama is a distorted signal that can mimic intensity. The amplifier audit is your litmus test. Failing is ignoring the drain because of intense attraction is the single greatest cause of derailment for developing men. This is the master key to all human systems. Understand this, and you understand leadership, marketing, politics, and branding. The customer, the voter, the follower, they all run on similar subconscious circuits of seeking security, dominance, benevolence from a leader, brand, and responding with loyalty, validation, amplification. Mastering this interpersonal circuit trains you to master the world. The result, from neediness to sovereign symbiosis. Internalizing and executing this framework liberates you from the infantile paradigms that enslave most men. The chase, the need for validation, the roller coaster of romantic drama, the quiet resentment of unmet expectations. You stop seeing women as mysterious prizes to be won or complicated problems to be solved. You begin to see them as the most powerful environmental variables in your own psychological and biological ecosystem. Your primary relationship, the sacred one, is with your own mission, your own code, and your own continuous development. A woman, when chosen with the severity of a strategist and the discernment of a master engineer, becomes a supreme ally within that mission. She transforms from a source of problems to be managed into a force multiplier. Her presence in your life literally upgrades your neurological firmware, turning the grind of discipline into a source of deep biological pleasure, and translating your effort into a resonant, fulfilling signal of purpose and connection. You cease asking the juvenile question, "Does she like me?" You begin asking the sovereign question, "Does her presence in my life demonstrably make me a stronger, more focused, more capable, and more peaceful version of myself?" The man who can answer that question with ruthless honesty and act on that answer with unwavering discipline gains access to a hidden dimension of power. He no longer seeks a woman to fill a void within him. He develops himself into such a formidable, complete, and purposeful entity that he can then partner with a woman to amplify his signal to the world. And in that profound shift from seeking completion to orchestrating amplification lies the difference between a life of quiet negotiation and a legacy of exponential sovereign achievement. If this video helped you, subscribe now, because we are just getting started.